What's up, basketball fans? Let's be honest. Does anyone ever win a big bet and not tell anyone? No, they don't. That feeling of hitting a big bet is great. And the group chat, always going to hear about it. What we don't want to talk about, though, is our losses. Nope, no one likes that. But check this out. New customers can get a no-sweat bet with DraftKings. So even if you do lose, you can still get a bonus bet back up to $1,000 in the amount of your original bet. Minimum deposit is $5, and you can sign up now using my promo code Bullyball. Watch the games, get in on the action of real-time betting by downloading the DraftKings app now. New customers get that no-sweat bet. That's right. New customers can get a no-sweat bet of up to $1,000 if your first bet loses. And all existing customers, well, they get a same-game parlay insurance. That means you get a bonus bet back if one leg of your parlay loses. Minimum number of legs required and max bet varies. So download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. New customers use my promo code Bullyball and get a no-sweat bet. Promo code is Bullyball. The crown is yours. What's up, basketball fans? March is here, spring is in the air, and it's not just the NBA schedule that's loaded. March Madness is afoot, and the concert scene is hopping. I'm so pumped. We've got Bad Bunny coming into LA here in a week or so, and Game Time is my go-to app for securing the best tickets. I just pull up the Game Time app. I can see the entire schedule of who's coming here on tour. And starting prices, they're right there, all in one shot. The layout of the Game Time app really is what makes buying these tickets so easy. I can easily see that Madonna's rolling into town with her greatest hits tour, or Andre 3000 is about to play a bunch of shows here in Los Angeles. And what I like most about Game Time is when I buy tickets, I can see the view from my seat before I buy, so I know exactly what to expect. I pick the section, and Game Time picks the seats for the best price. In fact, if I find tickets in the same section and row for less, Game Time will credit me 110% of the difference. So there's no question I'm getting the best price. I take the guesswork and all the frustration out of buying tickets with Game Time. Here's the deal. You can get $20 off your first ticket purchase. Just download the Game Time app, create an account, and use my code, Bullyball. That's right. Just use the code Bullyball for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. Welcome to Bully Ball, presented by DraftKings. I'm Rachel Nichols, and as always, Mr. DeMarcus Cousins across from me. And we were just chatting before the show about Caitlin Clark, Boogie. She passed Pete Maravich for the most points scored by a Division I basketball player, men's or women's. Apparently, we're supposed to call her Ponytail Pete now, because, Pistol Pete. What do you think of what's going on with her?
Man, I think one, she's an incredible player. I think she's doing more than her part when it comes to, promoting the women's game, elevating their platform, all of those things. I think she's a great representation of the sport. And I'm just a fan of them being able to have their platform grow, regardless of how it's coming through college, through, the WNBA, whatever the case may be. Just these women and the sport that they love and their platform all now, being on one of the biggest stages. People are now supporting it more than ever. I think it's a beautiful thing. So I'm happy for the sport. I'm happy for these ladies. And I'm a huge fan of Caitlin Clark. And like I said, I think she's doing more than her part of, elevating the game for these ladies.
Yeah, and she recently announced she is going to go to the WNBA. There's some question about would she take that 5th year of eligibility, because you can make a lot of NIL money now, Boogie. Do you have eligibility left? Because really, we need to discuss that.
Man, I got to go check in on that, man. I feel like if I got an opportunity to go back to UK, I would definitely take it. So I got to check in.
I think you clean up. I'm just saying.
I can shave the beard off. I can look 19 again. That's easy.
Please, nothing. It's like nothing. All right, Bug, we're here on Tuesday morning, less than 12 hours after the Lakers win over the Thunder. And OKC came into the game as the top seed in the West. LA is now 3-1 against Oklahoma City for this season. They're 7-3 in their last 10 games. And here's what Anthony Davis had to say after last night. He said, quote, "We don't really care what seed we're in. We proved it last year. It doesn't matter. It's just about getting in and tackling each opponent from there." So that's all well and good. And certainly they look like they'd be pretty strong in a series against, say, an Oklahoma City. On the other hand, the other big game the Lakers had the past few days was yet another loss to the Nuggets. So I guess my question to you, Boog, is if you look at the Western Conference standings, is 80 right? I mean, could they just beat anyone? Are you confident that the Lakers, if they get in, they could get to the finals? Or do you feel like that might be an overstatement from AD?
I think that's spot on. And I think that's why the Lakers get treated the way they do in the aspect of, on paper and in the standings, they aren't, one of the better teams in the league. But based off their foundation and Anthony Davis and LeBron James and just their history of, success, they'll always be in the conversation long as they're in a spot of being able to be a playoff team. This is a playoff roster. I think the Lakers go into every offseason thinking, how can they become a better playoff team? Their rosters aren't ever really built for a regular season. And what I mean by that is it's never really a consistent third or fourth piece with any Lakers team outside of Anthony Davis and LeBron James to consistently carry them through a regular season. They're usually there for the support of those two guys or to enhance them with later runs in the year. So I've seen it time and time again with these Lakers teams. They usually construct their roster to match up with the Denver. That's usually the team they struggle with the most. So it makes sense, and obviously it sounds a little, far off, but that's literally kind of how this team builds their roster every single season. So once they're in the playoffs, or if they are a playoff team, they're going to always be a threat just because of those two main guys in LeBron James and Anthony Davis. So I think everything else will kind of take care of themselves. So I support AD in that statement. Absolutely.
I mean, if you look at the standings right now, and in the West, they change every day, it feels like, but Lakers are sitting in ninth, so they would still be a play-in team. And if the season ended today, if they made it out of the play-in, they would face, the Timberwolves or the Oklahoma City Thunder, depending on where they ended up after the play-in. As I said, they've been beating Oklahoma City. They have a big game against the Wolves coming up. In fact, I think they play them twice still on the schedule. Denver, though, I mean, I've been on Denver all year. I'm still, someone's got to beat them before I'm not picking them this year. And no one big has been beating them. I mean, they have been, since the All-Star break, they put their foot on the gas. They were clearly a little bit coasting before then. And there was a little bit of a, Denver playing with its food aspect to that Lakers game. I mean, it certainly was very close, and the Lakers made some runs, and it looked like, man, they could finally beat them, because I think, including the playoffs, it's been like, this was Denver's 8th win in a row or something like that. And the LA fans were like, this is it. This is great. And then the last few minutes, it was just like, okay, we're done here. We're done messing around. So I don't know. I think that a young team like Oklahoma City, we all say the same thing, right? That inexperience in the playoffs, is hard to overcome and could come out to haunt them. Yes. But I'm still all in on Denver. So I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens there.
Respect.
I want to, I want to switch to the East, because we also have another team that's put its foot on the gas since the All-Star break. The Bucks have not lost, people, since coming back from All-Star. 6 straight wins, including last night, a comeback win over the Clippers. No Giannis Antetokounmpo in that game. No Chris Middleton in that game. The Clips were up by 15 late in the third quarter. Dame poured it in, 41 points. Just amazing. Bobby Portis had a big game, 28 points, 16 rebounds. We don't need to talk right now about the Clippers, but they've coughed up some big games where they've had big leads lately. So that's something to think about when you look at the West standings. But let's stick with the Bucks. What has impressed you most about the Bucks during this stretch? Because Doc has come in and turned things around like he said he would.
Well, one, I feel the Bucks have been treated unfairly this season, and the reason I say that, I actually think they deserve more credit than they've received. And the reason I say that is, one, as much change that's been going on with this Bucks organization, they've never been less than, in my knowledge, a 3 seed in the East, which is pretty damn impressive with as much new moving parts this team has had, going on this season. They've had a new coach. They've had an ownership change. They brought in another franchise piece in Damian Lillard. I just don't think they get enough credit for, how they've kept things afloat amongst all this change, the huge moving parts that they've had with this team and this franchise. I think they've done a pretty good job with, just keeping things afloat. They are still a threat in the East. They are now starting to, find that groove, which is, great for them. Another thing I don't think gets enough credit is the Patrick Beverley effect. I've literally seen this guy, put batteries in guys' back to the point where they're talking out the side of their neck, and they're a believer or in character of being something that they're completely not. And that's totally fine. But that's the Patrick Beverley effect. I saw it in Minnesota. I've seen it in many places that, this guy's been. So I know that energy, that leadership, that voice in the locker room is only going to increase this team. Obviously Pat doesn't get the credit that he, deserves when it comes to, performing on the court, or the numbers aren't as flashy. But I put him in a category, of a Draymond, where and obviously the accolades don't match up. But as far as, the effect,
the skill level might not match up, but the emotion does, right?
Absolutely. And the impact he has on games that don't show up on paper, like it's a big effect. So I think the combination of all these things, and just simply, they're now finding their stride. The system is now making sense with Doc. They're now starting to slowly get on the same page, and these are the effects of that. So I think this team only improved towards the end of the year. And like I said, they are still very much a threat in the East.
Yeah, I mean, look, first of all, they also got Jay Crowder back, who's another energy guy, right? So I think your point on Patrick Beverley is totally true. The defense, though, has turned around. And the idea was, how can the Bucks improve their defense? They can't, go out and trade for anyone else. They already made their big trade. They were hamstrung. Clearly, defensive strategy was a big part of what was going on. And Doc has adjusted the defense for the opponent in a way that Griff wasn't really doing. The Bucks have held teams under 100 points 4 times in 7 games. They played 43 games under Adrian Griffin and only did that once. So that is a pretty stark set of numbers. In fact, they had the number 22 defense in the league under Adrian Griffin. In just the short amount of time that Doc has been there, they're all the way up to number 6. So that is just a huge, huge turnaround. And when we get to the playoffs, that is obviously going to be so important. And I think when they made the move to get rid of Griff, I mean, obviously it's very tough to make a coaching change like that. I'm not sure Adrian Griffin deserved to sort of be dismissed in the middle of his first season the way it happened. However, the move was for the playoffs, right? The move was, hey, we know we have a great record. I think at the time they were number 2 in the East, and everyone's like, what are you doing? But the point was, you could look at that team and look at their defense and say, this isn't going to cut it in the postseason. And obviously, when you have Giannis Antetokounmpo, that is the standard. So I think that the fact that they've beaten the Nuggets under Doc, they've beaten the Timberwolves under Doc, you look at how they have progressed against big teams, you see why they made the change. And this is all without Chris Middleton. He has not played in the last 11 games. He has that ankle injury. We don't know when he's going to come back. And I guess the question, too, a little bit is the road ahead for them, because they do have a very tough remaining schedule. Their next 7 games, they're going to have the Warriors, they're going to have the Lakers, they're going to have the Clippers, Sacramento, Philadelphia, Phoenix, and then a huge game against Boston. So I don't know, where are you on the Bucks' chances? Because you look at that Boston game, that's the one that's like looming on the schedule. So crazy.
I can see them having a successful stretch when it comes to these teams that they're going to have, later on. But obviously, the Boston has been the favorite, for the most part the entire year. I still think they're the favorite. That Boston team is just so well constructed. They had a plan in the offseason. It came together perfectly. And it hasn't been really much change to that Boston team. They've been consistent. And it's weird to say, with them having the best record in the NBA, for some reason, this team has kind of been under the radar. As much, even though they're a favorite, they're still kind of floating under the radar. And it doesn't.
Don't you think that's like just skepticism from some playoff problems that they've had. I think people kind of feel like, yeah, we've been here before with the Celtics. We know that they've been good in the regular season. And then they've just had a few notable playoff performances. Obviously, that Golden State Finals was super winnable. Losing to the Heat the way they did, they clearly came in as the better team, and the way they lost that series and the way Jason Tatum struggled throughout that series, even before his injury, I think people there's some skepticism about Boston, but there shouldn't be, because as you said, I mean, they're rocking it.
This team looks well. If there's ever been a year, I think this is the year for this Celtics team. They look like a well-oiled machine. I don't see a team that even comes close to their talent. But to get back on topic, when it comes to this Bucks team, they have every chance of being successful in this stretch. I think they'll only continue to improve with this closing stretch of the season. And I think that's perfect timing. They want to go in with some momentum. They want to go in with some confidence. And the biggest thing, they all want to go in on the same page. As far as being on the same page as the coaching staff being on the same page as the players, the system being, it's Bible. Everybody knows the system. Everything's flowing. So I think this is kind of perfect timing for this team. Everything will be kind of cemented with this group, and they can go in the playoffs with some momentum. And like I said, they are still very much a threat in the East. They have the talent to do it. They have a champion in Giannis. They have a guy that's hungry for a championship in Damian Lillard. So they very much have a chance.
Well, look, it is interesting if you think about who's going to end up where. And by the way, if Doc Rivers comes into Boston and beats the Celtics in a playoff series, that's going to be a whole nother scene. But right now, Boston looks so good. They've had 3 wins this season of more than 50 points, Boogie. I mean, that's an insane thing to say. They tore the Warriors into tiny little pieces over this past weekend. Steph Curry had a great quote after the Warriors lost by 52 to Boston. He said, "That's what we used to do to teams. It's demoralizing." And that's really interesting to think of, because in some ways, this Boston team during the regular season, this is just regular season so far, is more dominant than the Warriors at the height of their dynasty. The Celtics have won 11 in a row, and their point differential in those games has been by 22, which is better than the Warriors ever did, even when they were killing teams. I don't know. They have the easiest remaining schedule compared to what that Bucks schedule we just listed off. So I don't know. You were saying the Bucks, definitely going to fight the Celtics for the East. Is Boston, though? I mean, are you ready to make your hotel reservations for Boston in the finals? I mean, do you think it's going to be a contest in the Eastern Conference Finals, or are you looking at these numbers for the Celtics and been like, yeah, it might be a tough go, but the Celtics are making it?
Absolutely. Well, first off, I want to say, when it comes to that that Warriors team in their prime, I'm taking them over the Celtics team.
Well, you played on that team, first of all. You're a little bit biased.
I don't give a damn what the nerds say. I don't give a damn what the statistics, the plus. I don't give a fuck about any of that. I'll take that Warriors team any day. I hate when these fucking numbers go, they're better than. Fuck that. I'm taking that Warriors team any day. First off,
the Golden State proved champions. It, right, in the playoffs. That's all that matters. They're champions, exactly.
4-time champions.
100%.
This Celtics team is just still trying to get to their first one. So I'll take that Warriors team regardless of what the nerds say. So that's one thing. But when it comes to Boston finishing out the year, they do have, one of the easier remaining schedule. I think they'll continue to just kind of float through. If the guys are, kind of having any nicks or knacks or, slight injuries, they'll also use this time to get guys 100% healthy going into the playoffs. So I think this Celtics team is, they're in a perfect place right now with just finishing out the season, going in healthy and having a clear mindset with trying to make this championship run. But when it just comes to the East, on paper and, proof of the season right now, you could say Boston is the favorite. You can say that, and you can say that with confidence. But on the flip side of things, when it's a Miami Heat floating around, they're always a threat. And you can say that with confidence because it's proof in the pudding. I think the Heat will always be a threat. When you have a guy like Jimmy Butler, who's notorious for kind of, heating up at the tail end of the season, especially going into the playoffs, he becomes another player. And that's one thing you have to respect about a guy like that. When it comes to the playoffs, you want to elevate your game. And he does it time and time again. And he has a lot of unexpected runs. So the Heat are always a threat. If Embiid is healthy, if he's able to return, obviously that's a threat when it comes to Philly. I think they have a great thing going there. And then when it comes to Damian Lillard and Giannis, you just can't ignore those two guys. Like, if things work out the way, they should when it comes to finishing out the season strong with that team and just finding their flow and their chemistry, they are very much a threat. But based off right now, the present day, I think Boston is the favorite. So that's kind of how I'm viewing this.
I mean, that's it, the Warriors comparison is so interesting because, as you point out, Boston hasn't done it. So in terms of like, could you say they're as good a team as the Warriors in their prime? Absolutely not. Like, there's no question that you can't say that yet. It's just about that regular season dominance and sort of what we saw in the Warriors in the West at that time, where it just wasn't even a question. They were the team making it to the finals. Like, we all knew that at the time. It was just sort of like, yeah, of course. And Boston looks like that right now. They look like a team where they're just winning by so much. They're winning by more than 20 points right now a game. I mean, it's insane. It looks like, yeah, of course, you can put them in ink to the finals. But as you point out, like there's other teams in the East that at least have some playoff level threats. And if they do play a series against the Bucks in the Eastern Conference Finals, Giannis, is Giannis the best player in that series? I mean, we always say the best player in the series is the team that's favored to win. Would you say Giannis is the best player in that series?
I could see a 1A, 1B type situation.
With Tatum?
I mean, obviously accolade-wise, is Giannis, but just on an everyday talent basis, it's a 1A, 1B when it comes to Giannis and Tatum. So, yes and no. You could say that. You could say that, and you couldn't. That's just a hard scenario.
It's close.
I mean,
that's why it's a good question. It's close, right?
You can never go into a series with Jason Tatum on the other end of it and say, yeah, the other guy's the best player. Like, that's just hard to say. Like, yeah. So I can see a 1A, 1B type situation for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Look, this is the postseason for Jason Tatum to prove it, right? I mean, he is obviously an incredible, incredible talent. He is one of the top stars of this generation of NBA players. He has had some excellent playoff games. I don't want that to get lost. He's had some very, very good playoff games. It's like with Chris Paul. Like, people forget some of the great playoff games Chris Paul played. People forget some of the great playoff games that Jason Tatum has played. But the truth is, there have been big moments where he has faltered, and they've been have to play from behind in series and things like that. And I think if he can pull off this season, this postseason, being the star that we know that he is, playing as consistently as he has all during this season, if they make a run during the playoffs, if they somehow win this title, and then he goes into the summer, I think his contract is going to get signed this summer. We all know that's going to be very expensive. He's going to play on Team USA this summer. That could be a gold medal. I think that this could very much be the stretch, the 6-month stretch that Jason Tatum sort of proves the doubters wrong, but he has to do it. So we will see if he does it. Again, I'm always going to pick Denver because they're the champs and they have not shown me anything to say that they won't win. And Nikola Jokic has been just a stud again. But Jason Tatum has a chance to really change how people think of him. So I'm ready for it. I think it'd be a great Eastern Conference Finals if it's Bucks Celtics. I think the Doc factor is so much fun. I think the Tatum Giannis sort of, very different players, obviously different positions, but a great comparison, and could be fire, man. Could be really, really, really good. And then the finals could be good too. So sure. I don't know. I said I was going to get back to the Clippers. I do have to say, not only have they coughed up a couple big leads lately, Russell Westbrook is now out. Surgery to fix a broken hand. Obviously, a lot of breaks you can just let heal, so it must have been bad if it required surgery. Now, Russ always has a quick healing timeline. His superhumanness has, in terms of how quick he was at one point in his career, has always also extended to the fact that he heals really quick. But James Harden said it best, I think. He said, we'll miss everything he brings to the game, his athleticism, his energy, his playmaking ability, his leadership. I just think it's a big deal that Russ is out. What about you? Do you think the impact as a sixth man that he's going to be out for a stretch? I don't know. I think it's big.
It is a big thing. I agree with everything James said. The energy, the leadership, those are contagious. Those do, that has more effect on a team than, sometimes talent. So I agree with James on his statement. But also, let's not forget, this Clippers team is loaded. They have so much talent. I'm a big believer in Bones Highland. I had an opportunity to play with the kid in Denver. Super, super talented kid. He's kind of been through the ringer. He's kind of in and out of lineups. He's been traded. So I think his mindset has shifted. I think he knows he's now learning how to carry himself. He knows how to be prepared as a pro. He's learning from a great group of guys in LA in this Clippers team. He has Hall of Fame talent in front of him to learn from. So I can easily see this becoming a situation where he's now, slid into that second unit and being that guy to help keep things afloat until Russ comes back. So this is a big, I think this can be a big opportunity for him. This is another time for him to continue to grow as a pro and as a player. And I think this is a chance to just take advantage of this moment. Like I said, the talent is there, and now the opportunity is now presenting himself. So I think he can step in and like I said, keep things afloat for this Clippers team. But moving forward, it could have an effect on this Clippers team chemistry-wise once Russ returns. Obviously, he has to get back in the flow of things. That's not easy to do. Depending on how long he's out, it could be closer to playoff time. So it could get a little, funny for this team. But like I said, talent-wise, they have the pieces to fill in that void. But chemistry is going to always be an issue, especially with the timing of it. It depends on the timing, but it could be an issue.
Look, I think where they are in the standings is interesting, like in a Western Conference where the top three teams seem to trade every second, I think, on who's first, who's second, who's third. The Clippers are in fourth. There's a gap between them and the third place, whoever's in third place that day. There's a gap between them and fifth place, which is right now the Pelicans. So I think they've got some squishy room in the standings. They're probably not going to leap up into that top three no matter what. They're probably not going to fall into that 5-6 spot no matter what. And then in the West right now, because of, say, the Lakers getting in from the play-in, the Warriors possibly getting in from the play-in, being in that 4 spot is not the worst place to be in the first round. If you're playing the 4-5 series, let's say it's Clippers Pelicans the way it is right now. And by the way, New Orleans has not gotten the credit it should this season either. Yes, I think that's kind of you played there, that sometimes the media skips over them. And I just think that what the Pelicans have done has not been noticed or talked about enough. But I will say, we talk about the best player, winning a playoff series. The Clippers' talent is crazy. And when you look at them versus the Pels in a playoff series, anything can happen, but the Clippers would be the favorites there. So I just think that they have some cushion in terms of if, they lose a game or two because they don't have that energy off the bench with Russ. I like your Bones Highland prediction. So I hope that it doesn't affect them because I hate when injuries affect teams anywhere. Mm-hmm. I think they'll miss him. I think they'll miss him, but hopefully, it's not the thing. Injuries shouldn't be the thing that changes a team season. So, and the Clippers are interesting right now. So I want to see them continue to be interesting. We'll see. All right, Boogie, we got to get to one of my topics I've been beating the drum on all season, and I apologize. You've had to be on the other end of this over and over, but I know you agree with me. So that's something. The 65 game rule, man, it is still bothering me. Donovan Mitchell is the latest person we we got to talk about. He is a chance to miss out on all NBA. He is now out for, quote, at least the next 3 games, could be longer. He has already missed, I think, 13 games this season. You can only miss 17. So the next 3 would put him at 16. So that margin for error would be almost nothing. Tyrese Halliburton has talked about the fact, and I talked to him for a while at All-Star about this, that, he's close to the cutoff now too, by the way. And he said, I would have taken a game or 2 more off from the injury he had because he said he needed that time to heal, but he felt so much pressure to make All-NBA. We know, guys, contract bonuses are tied into this, and it's not a little money. It's like $30-40 million in some cases that these guys could lose. And Tyrese was saying to me, he said, I don't have the lift on my shot, especially in the second half of games, because I didn't really get enough time for it to heal completely, which is not what we should be having guys do. And we know with Joel Embiid, who knows if he misses as many games as we expect, if he would make All-NBA anyway, just because, at some point, he's only played 34 games so far. At some point, that just becomes, not his year. But he got hurt because there was so much pressure on him to come back. And you remember the chatter that week and the whole thing about the 65 games and, he's ducking games in Denver and all this stuff. And he felt this pressure to come back. He's talked about it. That's not like an assumption anyone's made. And he got hurt. And a season that he was on a historic pace got wrecked. So again, Donovan Mitchell, to get back to the current player that's being, sort of affected by this, where are you on the fact that what if he plays 63 games? What if he plays 64 games? Should he not make All-NBA?
Right. I've agreed with you from the beginning. I think this is a bullshit rule. I'm not in disagreement with trying to figure out a way to continue to make the game competitive. I do still feel with that being a topic that we have to find a way to make our game competitive. That's bullshit. Well, let's take less business out of it and put more of the sport back in it. I think that changes everything that we're trying to, do here. If you want a competitive game, let's base this off the sport and not the business, and you'll get the production that you want. But back to this topic, when it comes to this, my biggest thing and my biggest grievance when it comes to this is it's a legacy changer, and I'm just not okay with that. Guys put in so much time to this craft and this art, and guys strive to be the greatest, and it's taken away from you because you miss more than 17 games out of an 82 game season. That's fucking ridiculous. It really is. And I won't ever be in agreement with it. I think they need to go back to the drawing board, try to figure this thing out again. I'm even okay with it being a 60 game rule. I think 60 games compared to 65 just makes more sense. You have a 22 game window to figure out, injuries, time, whatever the case may be. So it just makes more sense. Obviously, this game doesn't go without our stars. We need our stars. And to go back to the part about legacy, when it comes to these guys' careers ending and we go back to look at, what they did throughout their career, and instead of them being, a 10-time All-NBA or whatever the case may be, they're now a 7 because 3 of the seasons they play 64 games. That's bullshit. That takes away from these guys. By the way,
Hall of Fame looks at that All-NBA stuff, right? Yes. We see Donovan Mitchell play. We know how much of a baller he is, but in 20 years, people just look back at the numbers and they might say, oh, okay, this happened a couple times. Okay. And the money, too, is not fair. I'm sorry. It's not.
Yes. Guys work too hard for their money to be cut short because of a game or two, or whatever the case may be. So it's a lot of things in it that I just don't agree with. And like I said, the root of the problem is trying to make the game competitive again. If you want the game or the sport to be competitive, let the sport be the sport and take less of the business out. Business is going to be business if the sport is booming. So let the sport be the sport. And stop trying to, put things in place or kind of simulate what you want to happen or take less defense. That's not what makes this sport the sport. So I think we get back to that part and the understanding of that, I think that eliminates all the issues that we're having when it comes to just the game being competitive in today.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about that at the All-Star game, right? The All-Star game wasn't competitive at all, again, but because, there's a lot of factors, and the players wanting to play hard is one of those factors. But part of them wanting or not wanting to play hard is that you give them 15 sponsorship, obligations in the 2 days leading up to the game will feel like an afterthought. And you're right about the business of the league. I mean, there's been a lot put forward as important, and therefore you are not stressing getting guys on the court playing competitively all the time, and that has to be looked at as much as how many games are guys missing. Because I look at Donovan Mitchell, he hasn't been resting like that whole he hasn't been load managing. He got hurt, and he got hurt, in a way that he might end up at 63 or 64 games. And I'm a voter, and I often use the third All-NBA team to sort of say, okay, guys who didn't play as much, because availability is important to me as a voter. So guys who were available for the whole season, guys who put it, were out there and put it on the line the whole season, I am putting them up in the top 2 teams, and that is making a difference to me. But there are players who are clearly among the top 15 players in the game. I mean, there's just no question about it. And maybe they played less games that year, but it's still enough. I will put them on my third All-NBA team. And I'm not the only one who does this. I know a lot of people, other voters who do this. And it's a way to balance out, as you say, that legacy stuff, that recognition stuff of saying, in this year of our Lord, 2024, the idea that, this guy was one of the top 15 players in the game. And I don't know. Again, this bothers me. Thank you for humoring me again with one of these discussions, Boogie Cousins. You are my friend. I appreciate it. All right. 2 truths and a lie. I love this segment. Producer Nate and producer Eric cooked up. We're going to do it every week. I'm going to throw 3 stats at you. 2 of them are true. 1 is a lie. And I'm just going to put it out there. This one stumped me. So if it stumps you too, no shame, because I was completely wrong on this one when I first talked to Nate about it. Here's the 3 things. See if you can do better than me. DeMar DeRozan leads the league in minutes per game. That's fact 1 or stat 1. Stat 2 is down in Houston, Şengün leads the league in fouls. That's stat 2. Or in Oklahoma City, SGA has the most made field goals in the NBA. Which one's the lie? It's hard, right? This one's hard.
No, I don't think this is hard. I could be wrong, but I don't think this is hard.
Okay.
I think the lie is DeMar DeRozan leads the league in minutes.
That's what I said. We are both wrong.
I see that. Oh, that's bullshit. It's no way Debo old ass is leading the league in minutes.
It's true. It's true. That one's true.
Man.
Okay.
Oh. I don't even want to answer the rest of the list.
Well, that's the thing. So I didn't even get it right on the second time. Can you get it right now just with these 2 stats? Can you pick out the lie? Is it Şengün leading the league in fouls or SGA with the most made field goals in the league?
I don't like being wrong, but I'm going to go.
I know.
I think the lie was shit. I think SGA has the most field goals in the league because he's also the leading scorer in the league, and most of his scoring comes from mid-range jumpers. Am I right or wrong?
You're wrong. And by the way, I said the same thing.
Oh my God.
The lie is that SGA has the most made field goals. He is second. Okay, so there's a little bit of a trick question from our producers, but they got us both. He is second. Giannis has the most made field goals in the league.
Wow.
I know. I thought DeMar DeRozan was 100% the lie.
I'm like, it's no way. Debo old as shit. They're getting their ass kicked in Chicago. Like, it's no way. Damn.
There you go. They've had a lot of injuries this year. So people who are healthy have been playing Debo, a lot of minutes. Bro. So
Shout
yeah, man,
Debo,
right?
Man. Leading the league in minutes. I'm proud of you, old man. I'm proud of you, bro.
All right, I'll take that bet presented by DraftKings. DraftKings has a bet that is, look, there's some long odds in this bet, but it is possible and it's a fun bet. So will Victor Wembanyama have a quadruple double this season? Now, the odds, as I said, are plus 4,500. That means you bet $1 If it comes through, you get 45 back. So just, do that to $100, do that to $1,000, et cetera.
Mm-hmm.
Here is the closest he has come so far. He had a game against Toronto where he was 27, 14, 10 blocks, 5 assists. So if those assist numbers had gotten up, he would have made it. He had a game against the Lakers where it was 27 points, 8 rebounds, 5 blocks, and 5 steals. That was a little further away. Will you take the bet? Would you put down your money on 4,500 odds that he will come up with a quadruple double this season? You dropping $1,000 on that, Boogie?
No. I think he will have a quadruple double in his career. I don't think it'll happen this season, though. He will.
You're a smart man.
He may have more than one.
Yeah,
but I don't think this season. I'm gonna wait till he's a little more seasoned, and I'm more than confident to bet on that. I'm putting a nice amount of money down too. I hope the odds are the same. I'm gonna put a nice amount of money down on that.
I don't know if they're gonna be. I mean, look, as the team improves around him too. I mean, I listed off the stats of that one game, and the only number that was below double digits was the assists. If his teammates were better, then his assist numbers will go up. So there's a lot of factors there in terms of
Trae Young. It happens. Trae Young to the Spurs, please make it happen for basketball. Please, I'm begging you. Trae Young
LeBron
to the Spurs, please.
Are going to have something to say about that?
No. Send him to the Spurs, please. Us basketball fans want it, and we deserve it. We deserve it.
I agree. Look, that's the one I'm rooting for. Yes. We'll see. All right, we are not taking the bet, DraftKings. I'm sorry. But, again, keep that up on the board because in the future we'll take the bet. We will. All right, we got to get to a little doom scroll here. We surf the internet, so you don't have to. And we got to talk about one of our guys, Boogie. Paul Pierce has a new show, The Truth Lounge. Just came out. It's on the DraftKings Network. It's on the All the Smoke Productions YouTube page. You can get it wherever you get your podcasts. And Paul was asked, who is the best number one draft pick of the last dozen years? So just, you can redraft. You're gonna see the clip in a minute. You've got the list in front of you. Those of you at home can look at the list here. Who do you think, in hindsight, is the best number one overall pick of the last dozen years? Here's what Paul had to say.
The top number one picks in the last, I said 10 years, but let's do 12 years. Since 2011 to 2023, who's the best number one pick overall? You got Kyrie Irving, Anthony Davis, Bennett, Wiggins, Towns, Simmons, Fultz, Ayton, Zion, Anthony Edwards, Cade, Pablo, Victor Wembanyama. Who y'all got? The best number one pick out of all.
Who's going to be the best one, or who's been the best one so far?
Who you taking?
Number one?
Number one. Who you taking number one out of all them?
I would take, out of all those people.
Who would you take?
I mean, AD, Kyrie, killers. I'm taking Victor.
Ooh. Who you taking? Out of all them number one picks.
I'm taking Victor as well.
That's
taking Victor
crazy.
as well. Out of all these picks, I'll rank them. I'll go Victor, AD, Edwards, or Kyrie.
That's solid. I'm going Victor too, and I'll tell you why. We've never seen nothing like this, first of all. I mean, he's setting records every year.
Every day.
Not every year, but every day with his blocks, with his scoring and rebounding. I mean, in my eyes, I think he's Defensive Player of the Year. I mean, as a rookie, I don't know if we ever seen that.
His numbers are crazy.
I know they're not a great defensive team, but that's not on him. But you cannot score with him in the paint. He's leading the league in blocks.
Can you be Defensive Player of the Year from the last place team in the league?
No, I mean...
That's new.
It's a good, it's a good question.
All right, so they're picking Wemby. Are you in on that, Bud?
I don't know about that one.
That's not an I agree with them face.
Yeah, I'm not. And it's obviously we can look at Wemby, see what he's done this season. But it's only based off his sample size is so small. Like compared to guys that have been in the league, a decade, Kyrie Irving, and Anthony Davis, and that's kind of more so what I'm leaning to. I mean, we're talking about Kyrie being a champion, a one-time champion. We're talking about Anthony Davis being a one-time champion. We're talking about these guys being Olympic gold medalists, all-stars, all NBA. Kyrie having one of the number one sneakers in the world when he was, once with.
Yeah.
And all of those things count. The impact, the marketing, all of that matters when it comes to a number one pick. So obviously, when you base it off of talent and projection, we can all sit here and say Wemby. Yeah, absolutely. But based off facts and accolades and what's actually happened, I think I lean more so towards Kyrie at this point. And like I said, it's bigger than just, the numbers or I'm talking about the impact. I'm talking about the marketing. I'm talking about being a global superstar. Also being a champion, hitting one of the biggest shots ever in finals history. Like it's a lot that comes into that. Even when it comes to Anthony Davis, being a number one pick, coming off a national championship in college, going straight from that to the Olympics, then becoming an Olympic gold medalist, then going to the Lakers, helping them get their first championship in a long time, since the, Kobe day. It's not as simple as saying, Wemby. And I'm leaning more towards, a Kyrie Irving or Anthony Davis in this conversation. And it's really kind of hard to pick between those two because they've been, pretty similar and pretty equal when it comes to their careers. So definitely not Wemby. I'm going with 11 or 12 on this one. So I'm going with 2011 or 12. That's my stance.
All right. I mean, look, you bring up the final shot from Kyrie. I didn't even think about that, but you're absolutely right. And by the way, it's that Kyrie shot and the Ray Allen shot, at least in my memory, of the best shot when it counted the most in the NBA Finals. And I think the Kyrie one would take it for me because, again, that was coming back from a 3-1 deficit and it was against, what was the best team of all time in terms of regular season and all that other stuff. I mean, I just think that the weight of that, and I was in the building for that Ray Allen shot and it was huge, but you're talking about a much different swing in the series and a much different kind of opponent. So that's a really good point. I didn't think about that. The Anthony Davis factor is huge too, because we know what he's accomplished and we know how good he is. I think Wemby, my prediction on Wemby has been that he, again, health, we don't know. Maybe his drive changes as he gets more money, although I don't think so. He's really a determined cat there. But I think Wemby will end up being a top 10 player of all time if things go the way they're going. And then we will look back because I don't think Kyrie Irving is a top 10 player of all time. I don't think Anthony Davis is going to end up as a top 10 player of all time. If Wemby does get there, and that is an if, I understand, but I do think that we will look back and say he was the best one of that 12-year stretch. But I agree with you. You certainly can't say that now. Anthony Edwards, by the way, should get his due as well, by the way, on that list because he is such a talent. But yeah, Wembanyama eventually is maybe my answer.
and I'm not mad at that statement. I actually agree with it. I think out of all these guys, I think Wemby has the best career. I think he has all the intangibles to do so, and I think that happens quicker if they go and get Trae Young. But that's another topic.
By the way, if they make that trade, we're going to run back every clip of you saying that. Boogie was right.
And I'm sending the invoice. I'm sending my GM invoice.
Do it. This, by the way, all right, this next doom scroll, I love this one. This one makes me so happy, Boogie. Mike Muscala, NBA vet, hard worker, journeyman, just like us, Boogie Cousins. The internet discovered that Mike Muscala has a LinkedIn profile. Obviously, most professional basketball players do not feel the need to put their resume on the internet. They're not applying for jobs in the same way most people on LinkedIn are, but he has done it. And by the way, he has moved around a lot. He's played for 10 seasons. He's played for 7 teams in those 10 seasons. He's already played for 3 teams just this season. So I guess I see the need to update your resume, but look at basketball player. If you look at the profile here, I don't know. What do you think about him using LinkedIn here, Bug?
I think that's a nice portfolio, bro. I'm not mad at you. You know, get it how you live. Brag how you want, brother. I think it's very impressive. I find nothing funny or comical about this. To sit here and be able to say I played for this many professional franchises is a beautiful thing. You know, more power to him, and I think it's dope. I actually do. I don't see it being any different than anybody else bragging about their resume or portfolio. I think he has every right to do so.
I'm just saying we have basketball reference for this.
Why have
his
basketball
resume is
reference when
available
you could
other
just go to his? You could just go to his LinkedIn. It's even more simple. He's making it easier for the people. Like I think he's doing the justice to the people. So like I said, more power to him. I think it's dope.
He uses it, by the way. He not only lists his resume, he writes little things on there. He's thanked people in the organization that he just left. You know, he's using it. And look, maybe when he's applying for jobs or wants to work places post-career, because he probably will, he'll just be able to say, look at my LinkedIn page.
Absolutely. I think that's dope. I think it's incredible. But I think he's going about it the right way. Take notes, kids. Take notes.
There you go. The Boogie Cousins seal of approval. All right, friends. You can catch all episodes of Bully Ball on the DraftKings Network. You can catch us on the All the Smoke Productions YouTube channel. You can catch us wherever you get your podcast. Don't forget to rate and review us. We like those 5-star ratings. You can listen to us all through your week. We will be back on Monday. Bug, thank you so much. And I'm writing your name down next to that Trae Young trade. Just saying.
Appreciate you. I need my monies. I need my ends. I need my cut. Take care of me.
And you getting your Kentucky eligibility back. We're just going to put that all on the roster for this week.
Business is booming.